On a related note, with nearly 9.5 square miles around Jerusalem up in smoke, from the treetops to the roots, experts are expecting the area's recovery to span decades. Hundreds of thousands of animals are believed to have perished in the fire, and long-term air pollution and ecological damages are predicted. Joining me to discuss is Tzlil Labin, ecologist with the Israel Nature and Parks Authority Central District. Thanks so much for being with us, Tzlil. Now, how long do you predict that it will take to rehabilitate the area, and what kind of damages are we looking at?
Thank you for having me here. Well, I think it's a pretty complicated question to answer, since there are rehabilitation systems that will take less time, and there are systems that will take longer. If we want a tree to reach its main height, so we'll have to wait another 100 years or 90 years, opposing to the age of the tree. But I believe we'll be seeing lower vegetation recovering within the nearest winter or spring, but we won't expect to get all the same plants that we did have before. Neither all the reptiles and insects that are just perished in this fire, and that would take several years, if not more. If we're talking about lower vegetation, so that may take a season or two. If we're talking about bushes, that may take 3 or 4 years till we see recovery starting. And for trees, it also depends, of course, on the severity of the fire in that area. It depends how strong it was. It depends if we still have seeds in the ground, or maybe the fire was just so very strong that the seeds were burnt as well. And of course, to sum that up, trees take longer. And then if we talk about the animals, so it differs. It differs if we, like big mammals, they will migrate to areas if they can, as long as they can run fast enough. They will migrate to areas where they still can get reach of fresh vegetation and fresh and habitats that were untouched by the fire. And then they will come back when the ecosystem starts recovering. So I guess we'll have to start from the beginning. We'll have to wait for the lower vegetation to start, and then insects, and then after them, they actually built the system from the bottom, and after them we'll get the higher bushes, and we'll get birds coming back to nest, but that will take a few years.
So what is the Israel Nature and Parks Authority, the INPA, and organizations like KKLJNF and volunteers doing in the aftermath of these fires, and what needs to be done? How can Israelis and maybe people, help in the rehabilitation?
One of the main things that we see is that this area was very, very dense with plants, and that is more than it should be in natural habitats that we know in the area. And also, one of the main aspects that we look at is the very high density of the pine trees. So pine trees are not good for fires. They lit up very fast, and they throw their pine cones very far away. And that way, the fire can just take place and cover very big areas. They're not local to most of our lands, and of course not in that density. And this is one thing that we need to take care of. As for villages and settlements, they will have to have buffer areas which can give for the settlements, and also take down trees that are very close to the settlements in order to create those buffer areas. These are recommendations that were written several years ago for the Carmel, and also even for Jerusalem mountains, but not all of them were set in the field.
Tzlil, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.